So far, we have defined all the functions of the links class in the CPP or implementation file, but we can also define these functions in the header file. For example, right here, where we declare this function, we can add braces and define it. So here we return the value. Now, we refer to this function as an inline function. By making this function inline, we're asking the compiler to replace the function call with the code inside the function. Let me show you what I mean. So back to our main file. If we call length.getValue, the compiler will replace this function call with the code inside the function. And this can result in a slight performance boost because calling functions involves a bit of overhead. So when we call a function, the compiler has to do some magic, so the control goes inside this function and then comes back to the main function. Now, this kind of movement has a tiny bit of overhead, and inline functions allow us to remove that overhead. So, does it mean we should define all of our functions here? Absolutely not. Earlier I told you that this header file represents the interface of our class. Now, we should keep this interface as stable as possible, because otherwise, every time we change this file, as well as all the files that are dependent on this and their dependencies have to be recompiled. So to reduce the compilation time, we should move all the details, all the logic, all the algorithms in the CPP or implementation file. Now, the other reason for not defining these functions here is that doing so causes clutter. So we cannot look at this class and tell what features it provides. We'll be distracted by so much detail, by so much complexity. So as a best practice, we should keep this file as simple and as stable as possible. But what if we want to declare a function as inline? Well, we can still do so using the inline keyword. So I'm going to remove the definition from here. So just like before, in this file, we only have declarations. Now, where we define this in our implementation file, we can use the inline keyword. Again, with this, we're asking the compiler to replace all the calls to this function with the code inside this function. Just note that there is no guarantee that this will happen. This is up to the compiler to decide if this should happen or not. Also, you should use this technique only with really simple functions that don't change, preferably one-liners like this function. Because if your function has more than one line, let's say 3 lines, every time you have a call to that function, that call is going to be replaced by 3 lines. So this can increase the size of the executable, the size of your application. Now, as the size of the executable increases, the performance might suffer. So don't blindly make your functions inline. In fact, most modern C++ compilers will automatically decide whether they should inline your functions or not without you doing anything. So my advice is stay away from this technique unless you know what you're doing. I just covered this here so you understand what is the difference between defining functions in the implementation file or in the header file.